Hello, Wear Many Hats listeners. We are here today with another one of our Risings podcasts. Yes, today we are going to speak to somebody who has burst onto the scene in facilities management. I'm really pleased to have sitting beside me today Josh Slade, who is an associate of technical services UK and Ireland for Mapletree. Hello, Josh. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Hi, Mark. I'm well. How are you?
Oh, mate, really, really good. Really good. It's been a long day. How's your day been?
Living a dream every day.
Living the dream?
Every day.
Yeah. Have you come far?
White City.
Oh, White City?
Yeah, not too far.
Nice.
It's
Yeah,
a bit just outside the normal neck of the woods, but it's a nice place around there.
Yeah. You had a bit of bother finding us, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't really have a great sense of direction.
Do you not?
No.
What, you don't have the mail inbuilt sat nav?
No. It's I spent that credit somewhere else. Let's
did
say
you?
facilities management, maybe.
What? It's ruined you. Is that what
it
you're saying?
completely
It's
ruined me.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant, good stuff. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining us today, Josh. So, listen, a little bit of a different format to our usual podcast because we're going to talk about your career so far.
Okay.
And finding out a little bit about where you want your career to go. It's quite an exciting one. So, listen, introduce yourself to the listeners and tell us a little bit about your background and your journey in the facilities management industry so far.
The journey.
Yeah.
Okay. Josh, technical services UK and Ireland for Mapletree. So I manage the technical operations, capital work, most things M&E related when it comes to, the portfolio that we offer. So where my journey. So I guess, the cliche, I fell into facilities.
Well, I've just told everyone you burst onto the scene, Josh.
Burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
I originally come up through a factory. So I used to work for a company called Delphi in Gillingham, so quite local to me.
Oh, Gillingham. Where do you live?
So I used to live in Rochester, but now I live in Staplehurst.
Oh, really?
Like Tunbridge Way.
Yeah, I used to live in Gillingham.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yes, you know by the big Tesco's.
No, I do. Yeah, very well. Yeah.
So I come up through there. I got various souvenirs. So from college, done electronic engineering.
Yeah.
And then I was placed into Delphi as something called WED, which is a works engineering department, which is basically
was that like an apprenticeship or something similar to that? Was it
kind of? I already had my my degree and some other bits as well. So I kind of just went in as almost a tryout of, because I was quite indecisive of what it is that I wanted to do. It drove my mum and dad nuts. I spent all this money and all this time in getting, a degree, which is a lot of people look for now.
Of course.
We call it many other things. When I say we, and the industry, but certain people in M&E will trophies, souvenirs. I can tell you on one hand the amount of times I've calculated the total resistance in facilities management, which I haven't. So we was kind of like working off like a firefighting. It was a supporting line factory. They used to make parts. Tractors and some large scale diesel
manufacturing
engine. Yeah, some manufacturing.
Right, wow.
And then from that, it was something would break. We'd take a brisk walk and go and fix it.
A brisk walk,
you
3 cups of tea on the way.
Never run, you got to get a permit and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Have a couple of bags if you're into that kind of thing, and then get to where you are. But
you've got to make sure you mentally prepare yourself for these things, Josh.
Definitely. And there's a lot of stuff you have to get as well. Like permits, like I said, drawings. You have to speak to a couple of people to see if they've done that same job that week. Just kind of go from there, really. I was there for quite some time.
Right.
And then worked my way through, and then just kind of got a little bit, not bored, but maybe complacent with the factory environment. Right.
Okay.
It's a great. I'd recommend it to anyone. It's a good bit of character building. You don't get away with a lot of things.
Interesting experience as well. To be fair, to sort of take into this world, I suppose.
Yes. Definitely. But you take a lot of like key skills, right? One of those, thinking on your feet. Being able who to say no to and who not to. I guess it's one of the key skills.
Managing the politics associated with the role.
So, so a great time there.
Learned how to make a good cup of tea, I'm guessing, as well.
Yeah,
Usually.
a lot. In a boiler suit as well, which I was quite glad about.
That's impressive, isn't it? Yeah. I bet you've still got the boiler suit as well, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I like to keep souvenirs, right?
Fair enough.
And some people think it's a little bit like shriny, a little bit strange, right?
Yeah.
But every lanyard that every place I've worked, I've kept at least one of the lanyards.
Have you?
Right, yeah.
Oh, really?
And I lost them all.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'm restarting the shrine, and we're going to see where we go from.
You'll have to drop an email to all the previous ones and see if you can.
Yeah, can I have your
Or find out what
lanyard,
events they're exhibiting. Just go around and get one. Yeah.
And then into facilities management. So I had enough of the same routines. Keep fixing the same stuff, and I was quite young at the time, so I went to chase the money really. So I was thought,
How old were you then?
18, 19, I think it
really?
was. Yeah.
18, 19 when you came into the industry?
Yeah.
Wow.
Into like factory, I think. Mate, I could have been a little bit older.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. But today I thought, right, let's look on. Let's get myself out there, and we'll see where we are.
Yeah.
Which I then went to, still quite local to me. I went to an interview at what I believe to be a factory not too far from me in Grain,
right.
Which slowly, as I then realised that it wasn't a factory and it was in fact Amazon's biggest sortation centre in the world.
Wow.
At the time.
Wow.
So then, you can imagine, you're going to meet somebody that you've never met before for an interview for a job that you didn't really think you wanted or needed.
Yeah.
And then it just turns out to be, one of the biggest tech conglomerates of the world. So I was like, right, okay, maybe I should have a little look round to see exactly what it is that we're doing.
There could be some opportunities.
Yeah,
here.
so it should be. So it went well.
Right.
So I started off as like a senior technician, engineer there.
Yeah.
And drastic change from the factory lives. And there's definitely no permits, no 15-minute tea breaks every half hour. One of those
Dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. So
I've got to work for a living. What's going on?
Yeah. So the culture shock ensued. It was definitely something that I had to come to grips with quite quickly, right? Not because every engineer's lazy or anyone that works at MEP.
No, I'm only joshing that.
Yeah.
I'm only messing. I don't agree with that. I know some incredibly hard work.
But if we can, we will.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and
yeah,
anyone that tells you any different is lying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where most people, the hardest thing with engineers, right, is you can't pull the wool.
Yeah.
Because most of them are very clever.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've got a good nose if you're not telling them the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed. Yeah.
So the easiest way is just to be upfront, honest, to the point.
Yeah.
Right? I was at Amazon for quite some time, worked through my ranks there, senior engineer, went into like a coordination role, and then was managing at the last part. So I'd ran about 25 direct reports, 4 shift teams.
And can I ask, how old were you then, Josh?
I was 23.
Wow. Now that's very interesting and a lot of responsibility for a 23-year-old.
Yeah, probably a lot. I think if they knew how old I was, they probably wouldn't have given me the job.
You could just grow the beard at a young age.
Just the beard. The art of deception is a wonderful thing.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I agree.
We was managing 2.5 miles of sort centre, moving at around about 10 meters a second, roughly, doing anything between 20 to 45,000 parcels an hour.
Wow.
And that was 24/7 running off there.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And that kind of really, that was, I'll call it not the start to the facilities management because it's still heavy engineering bias.
Yeah.
But definitely the push through the door.
It introduced you to that world.
Yeah. It introduced. And then, so that was a JLL contract. I was working for JLL at the time, working for a man called Lee Siddons.
Right.
Great guy.
Yeah.
He's done very well for himself.
Yeah.
And then, after all of that, I was called back into Bank Street to do some, I was a manager now.
Yeah.
Right? So,
you've reached the lofty heights.
You can't get dirty or anything like that. You shouldn't have screwdrivers in your pocket.
Exactly.
Put
What's
a jacket
going on?
on.
So put that paddle down.
Yeah. So, from there, so I found myself in Bank Street in Canary Wharf. One of my first time, well, not first times in London, but definitely first time to working in London, the buzz, Canary Wharf's not bad first start.
It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fairly busy.
Nice bars around there as well, actually.
Yeah, there is. And then, so I was there with Lee, a couple of other people, Dominic O'Day, who's now the EHS cluster director for JLL as well. Right. So, I guess the people you meet on your journey, it's always good to stay in touch.
Really. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Well, networking's important, isn't it?
Networking is very important.
Yeah. And we will touch on that later.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
So then Lee was like, what do you think about going into facilities management? And I was like, no. I know what I know, Lee. Just leave me to it. He's like, no, it's not going to happen. We're gonna give you a go. I thought, all right then, let's give it a go then.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went to Royal Bank of Canada to do a mobilisation for 100 Bishopsgate.
Wow.
Good friend of mine, Ali
Nice building. Nice building.
Lovely building.
Yeah.
Well constructed.
Yeah.
And a good client team as well.
See, there's the engineer in you, well constructed.
Yeah. If you've got a defects page that doesn't come in an Excel sheet, you're doing all right.
That's all right, isn't it? Yeah, without doubt. Yeah.
It was an Excel sheet, but it's a critical environment, so it's always going to be.
Yeah, of course.
We successfully deployed, a good Integral team out there.
Right.
Because it was at the time where JLL and Integral were parent and sister company there.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And we kind of collaborated efforts for JLL to go into more of a hard services market as well.
Yeah.
Decision I had nothing to do with. I was only a manager at the time, but
of course. Yeah.
Tell me where to go and I'll go.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Royal Bank of Canada. And then I was working with Integral, supporting multiple contracts at a couple of times. The bloke I mentioned earlier, Ali, who was the technical manager for Royal Bank of Canada, he was one of my peers, and we all reported into a bloke called Thomas Pound.
Yeah, I think I know Ali, actually.
Yeah.
I think I've met him,
I think you do.
Yeah.
Tom was our OD for Integral. Tom ran a few contracts.
Right.
But Tom had a wealth of knowledge, and a great guy. And more importantly, he'd take you to the pub if you'd done something good.
Yeah.
Only if you did something good. We had a term amongst all of us as like account managers, if you will. Have you met the Pound? And the Pound was if you went wrong, Tom would let you know.
Really?
Yeah, but in a good way. And I think in a way it kind of Tom was probably the person that showed us in a way that if we're 3 steps ahead of Tom, we're going to be at least 2 ahead of the client, right?
Yeah.
We met Essex Tom a couple of times. All of us had a good
Essex Tom.
Yeah, so Tom's from Essex,
right?
But as he's come through the business, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't pronounce his Essex accent, let's say, right?
The posh voice.
Yeah. I wouldn't go as far as posh.
So it's like a superhero.
Yeah,
then. Basically, you've got London Tom and then Essex Tom.
Yeah. The man that instills confidence when he walks into a room.
Right. Okay.
And then you had the man that didn't when he was very mad at you because you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess you learn from your mistakes in a way, right?
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
And usually, none of our mistakes were that big.
Yeah.
They ever got to, a client or
to the
like
pound
that.
level.
Yeah, to the pound level. Yeah. May have got to the pound level a couple of times. And I certainly know I had a few pounds. Ali definitely had a few pounds. I had a couple of other but yeah, I guess what I'm saying is Tom amongst other people essentially showed me the way of what not to do, what you could probably get away with, definitely.
Right. Okay.
So from there, the pound taught us valuable lessons, painful as they were.
Yeah.
We got there.
Yeah.
So I floated around a couple of contracts for a while.
I'm going to have to hashtag the Pound on this podcast.
Maybe you should do it.
Yeah. I think we're going to
please tag him in it, because I'm sure he'll love to hear this. Maybe he'll even come on.
It'd be great to have him on. Yeah, he can tell us all about the Pound. We might even see the Pound.
Yeah.
Who knows? We Ask him the wrong question.
We might. And I'm sure he will elaborate with some of the mistakes I certainly made.
Right, okay, yeah.
So while I was working for the Pound, I then went onto the Facebook Facebook contract.
Yeah.
So I was running 3 buildings for Facebook, 2 really, because one was kind of self-sufficient under CBRE, which was in Shaftesbury Avenue. It was good. So I had Brock Street and Rathbone Square.
Yeah.
Rathbone Square used to be an old like post office back in the day. So quite a big building, also managed by CBRE. It's got a larger portion of residential, but more importantly, right on Oxford Street.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, great building. Had a good. So we was managing essentially the 2, roughly 850 to 900,000 square foot at the time.
Right.
And then they were building the Beast in King's Cross for what they really wanted to go for, which had the running track and and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Then I stayed a couple of years at Facebook, did some good work there. Definitely a different kind of thing to a factory. Suddenly, everyone thinks that you know what you're doing. And
imposter system.
Yeah,
the imposter syndrome starts to sneak in.
But I think it keeps you a little bit honest.
I agree. It does. Yeah.
It's anyone that goes. I think if you're complacent, you're wasting time.
Yeah,
in a little bit of an element, right?
Agreed.
And that's not me, that I'm the Harvey Specter of facilities management, right?
Yeah.
But I always make sure that in one way or another, I'm either challenging others on the progression path, or more importantly, challenging myself, right?
Right.
So then from Facebook, the next challenge come, and I went to the Shard, which was probably the pinnacle, the biggest beast I had.
Yeah.
So the Shard, needs no introduction, really.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No, I mean, we all know it well, don't we? It's a beautiful building.
Yeah, but there's a lot more to it than what you think.
Oh, I imagine so.
So it's obviously got the large. It's got the retail offering underneath in the arcade. It's got apartments.
Yeah.
Which we went through fit out a couple of times.
Yeah. There's a leisure element with the view from the Shard. You've
got the view from the Shard. You've also got the hotel,
the restaurants,
and then the restaurants.
Yeah.
And you've also got a hospital.
Yeah, Guys and St Thomas's, isn't it?
It is HCA.
Oh, is it?
Healthcare America, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So is that actually in the Shard?
It's in the Shard, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Right, okay.
When you're doing stuff like power shutdowns, really adds to, the element of, the MRI scanners, all that helium.
Oh, yeah, I imagine, yeah.
Let's really try not to mess this up.
Fair enough.
So, I was the, what was my job there? Assistant Technical Services Manager there.
Right.
So it's 3 of us being the Technical Services and the Senior, all reported into a lovely bloke called Derek Rosenroad, who's the General Manager of the Shard, still is now.
Right, okay.
So a lot of intricate things there. Was going through plant replacement at the time, because the Shard, even though, the high class that you get the Shard from the scent that you walk in, they clean at least, they clean the glass at least, twice a year, but it takes them the whole year.
Yeah, of course it does, yeah.
And you've got a real high-end clientele there, right? So, walking around in jeans and shouting like you would be in a factory, it's just not going to fly.
No, of course not, no.
Which then kind of takes me over to my stint of London Bridge City with Mac. So I was doing a capital improvement plan there for Mac.
Right.
Me and Mac still speak quite regularly. It's a difficult contract, that one.
Yeah.
You've got one side which is, after 2006.
Yeah.
Then you've got like grade 2 listed on the other side.
Challenging.
So challenging in terms of like an MEP. You're essentially going to hire 2 generations of engineers, right?
Yeah.
The newer ones which are coming through, which are used to, not like saying they're any better, but everyone's got a specialism in engineering, whether it's electrical, mechanical, or you get the marine boys that say they're 50-50.
Yeah.
Which usually they're not. But
right.
So you've got old kit and you've got new kit.
Yeah.
Right. Which that's an operating challenge of BAE operations. It'd be challenging for anyone.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Not saying that all of it's old, but you've got grade 2 listed with Hayes Galleria, the Cotton Centre, number 1.
It's challenging, isn't it?
It definitely is.
You've got 2 disciplines there, really, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got and nobody knows everything. Let's be honest. So if you've got the brand spanking new with all the new technology and the new ways of working and the new building materials and blah blah blah, that's an awful lot to remember.
No, there's not. But then we get back to the cliche of, like you just said, nobody knows everything. Yeah. Right. But I'd say the one key factor of facilities management is, don't burn your bridges. It's a very small game.
It's true.
Remember who you come up with, right? Yeah. I don't know everything. I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I can guarantee there's someone in my phone book who does. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I will pass that off as my own.
Of course. Yeah.
And I will deliver it with confidence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Without a doubt.
It's the people you come up with as well.
Yeah.
And now I'm at Mapletree. Associate. So we have a couple of commercial property resident and some other bits across.
Okay, cool. Can I ask, Josh, how old are you now?
27.
27?
Yeah.
That is one hell of a roll call at 27 years of age.
Yes,
that really is. That is incredible. You've definitely burst onto the scene, I would say.
Burst. We'll take the burst. Yeah. Explode, maybe.
Exploded, yeah. You've exploded onto the scene. Micah Richards would be jealous, mate. To be fair. Okay, well, listen, thank you. That's a really great.
Probably a bit longer than what it should have been.
No, it's absolutely fine. I mean, to be fair, we covered so much material there that I think people have got a real understanding of where your skill set is, how you came up, and how that's benefited you in the roles that you've had. So, you touched on a few names there. It sounds like you've had quite a few mentors during your career that have really helped you move forward. And has that been important to you?
I think it definitely has.
Right.
Yeah. It's the people that pretend that they know everything and, they're a lone wolf, usually, not wash out, but you kind of get put into a corner of a room, right? FM is a team sport.
It is. I agree completely.
And it's being able to say, like I said earlier, no at the right time, to know when somebody's maybe taking a little bit too much, right? And when you could just say straight up yes. Right. Now, I'd love to say that I say straight up yes a lot, but I don't. Because the other two have usually caught me by surprise and I've got a pound.
The pound is still in the back of the head.
He still lives there rent free. Most key decisions I make, I think, what would the pound say? So in answer to your question, the mentorship, I was quite young coming up through my career as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So a lot of people take me under my wing. For what reason I don't know. Under their wing, rather. Yeah. My wing, we can do whatever you like. But so
I have to be honest, Josh. I think I can see why. I can see why people would see talent in you and want to bring you along. It's definitely evident. You're very eloquent. You talk incredibly well, and you're very passionate about what you do. So I can certainly see why people would say that's a talented individual, and we'd like to bring him on.
Yeah, we still got a while to go yet, Mark. So I'm only 27, so let's see where we go. Might do a career switch, go to the media.
Go to the media. Okay, so. Obviously you've moved into facilities management from engineering. What's keeping you in facilities management? What do you find the most fulfilling and exciting?
Facilities management, no day's the same, but they kind of are. Yeah. Right? And that's not my philosophical approach to facilities management. It is
it's fair
usually, you've got your if you split out your day into a couple of segments, right? 4 or 6, you're doing what you plan to do. The 2 or 6, you're not doing anything you plan to do. Yeah. Right. And that being said, the passion and the drive, there are some tricky problems I've dealt with in facilities management. Yeah. And some real heavy hitting engineering items, especially with, you have to keep up with every legislation. Yeah. You have to make sure that what you're saying for a start is correct. Of course. Because no doubt somebody will pull you up on it. And stay at the top of your game. If you work on a client side, it's no. I hear a lot that a client side is often easier. Yeah. And it's not.
No, I agree.
And unless you own your own facilities management business, you've always got someone breathing down your neck. And you've always got a client to think of. I guess the only bits that maybe will change is if you're on the service side, you've got 60% of the picture. Yeah. Right. And on the client side, maybe you've got the other 40%, but you still don't have the full 60. Right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's the passion and the delivering service, you know. And like at the Shard, I can safely say, you know, most of the tenants that are at the Shard, you know, A, wanted to be there, were very happy to be there.
Yeah.
And more importantly, C, they would bring outside people in to be like, look, this is how our business operates. This is the kind of place we're in. Right. So call it the new BMW on the drive of an office building or whatever it is you want, you know. Your office does kind of represent you as a person.
It does, yeah. It's an image and
more importantly, your business that you represent as well, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's I've seen a lot of bland conference rooms, and I've seen some conference rooms that have very good air conditioning, you know. And people just think it's the magic, you know. Oh, it's always there. It's always going to be there. You know, but they don't see the back of house operation. It's quite funny actually because at the Shard, I won't mention her by name because she didn't really understand, you know, the whole what goes into, you know, from her turning up at 9:30, walking through, you know, the 22 degrees, the speed gates, the escalator, all the way up to the Shard, you know, and into the lift, of what goes into that, you know. And there was a not complaint, but I was like, no, I'll show you. You know, I will show you what runs this building if you like. You know, obviously we didn't go into plant rooms or anything like that, but it was, you know, this is where the power comes in. And then it's like the sudden realisation of, oh my God, I wouldn't have a clue what to do in that room.
Exactly.
You know?
I think most FM civvies think you build it and then that's it.
Oh, you build it, you go, good job, Dak. You know, take your squint back and go, that's all right. And then off you go.
It's like a technical version of Field of Dreams, isn't it?
Definitely. I was born in 96, so I don't know what that is.
Kevin Costner film, check it out. Gary Sinise in it.
Will.
Definitely worth watching.
Is it good?
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. I've given you something to do on a Saturday night with a missus. Yeah.
You won't watch it.
Fair enough. Okay, so you know, obviously, you know, you've worked on some really interesting projects. You know, at quite a young stage in your career as well. Yeah. So, if you were to offer advice to people looking to come into the industry in terms of what they should generally include on their CV.
Okay.
You know, how would you advise them?
Great question. I think CVs can often become buzzwords.
Yes.
Right? And whether or not Chris will listen to this, but he might slate.
I think Chris will. Chris is an avid listener. He's an avid listener. He is. Yeah.
I think, you know, separate yourself from the crowd, right? You know, not everyone can be, you know, great all the time.
That's true.
It's about the separation, right? And by that I mean the opportunity to come to the table, right?
Yeah.
If you go there, I've got IOS managing safely. I'm a hard worker. I'm always on time.
Yeah.
You know, some people might. Yeah. Right. But what you're looking for is the next interviewing is about one of three things, right? A, will they make me look bad? B, will they do the job? C, will I like them?
Yeah, it's true. Right? Yeah, you are right. Yeah.
You know, so, but to get to that stage, you've got to put your life on a bit of paper, right?
Which is actually very difficult.
It can be difficult. Yeah. So, I guess one thing that I would do is, a good tip is if you are already in the FM industry, put your square footage down.
Yeah.
Right? A facilities manager is you know, can be a challenging role.
Yeah.
Can be a very challenging role.
Yeah.
And in others, not so challenging.
Yeah.
Right? And usually most of that is A, by whoever you're working for.
Yeah.
Right? B, how much of it you've got.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, you know, if you're managing 20,000 square foot, you know, you're, security guard called Larry, you know, it's not the same as, you know, being an FM for the Shard.
Yeah.
100, you know, some of the big stuff you've got in the centre. Stuff you've got in Canary Wharf.
Of course.
I think it would be difficult to maintain the same level of expertise by doing that. And then also, I'd go to maybe pursue some other avenues of, you know, what I could do, or what he or she can do to further, you know, get a he or she's own career moving forward a little bit faster.
Yeah.
So, if, like I said, if you're getting a little bit complacent, you feel you're getting complacent, right? It's got, right? If nothing's going to be delivered, and I'm not saying everyone quit their jobs tomorrow.
No. Yeah, of course.
But there has always got to be, to any job you have, there's always an exit strategy. And if anyone tells you any different, they're lying, right?
Yeah.
There was something that, on LinkedIn not long ago. It's, you're either learning or you're earning, right? If you're doing both, that's great.
That's incredibly true.
If you're doing one or the other. So, but yeah, I guess the tips that I'd go for to round up the question is put your square footage down.
Yeah.
Put something that, makes you pick up the CV.
Yeah.
And it could be personal interests.
Yeah.
It could be, some people go, oh, I like football. All right, okay.
Yeah.
What team do you support?
Yeah.
Build rapport with the person that makes them want to call you or bring you into an interview, and give talking points to get you into a room.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I say this to my kids all the time, actually. I'm always saying to them, try to develop your personality, develop your ability to build a rapport with people. Because I sometimes, and certain people probably slap my wrist for thinking this, but my view is that is actually more important than learning and development. I'm not talking about learning and development in the workplace, not in the workplace. I'm talking, school. I think that if you can develop your personality as you go through school and things like that, I think that it puts you in a better position. But learning in the workplace is also important.
Yeah,
but
I'm not calling everyone out from L&D.
Exactly. No, God, no. They'll be outside with pickets and pitchforks.
They'll stump my my path as well. So.
Exactly. So, you didn't say it, mate. You're fine, Josh. You're fine. It was me that said it. They'll come and attack me. Don't worry. Okay, so obviously you're a rising star within facilities management. You've done incredibly well.
Rising. I wouldn't take the star just yet.
Yeah. Well. It's how we like to say it. We like to say rising star, Josh. What different roles or responsibilities did you take on yourself without being asked to broaden your skill set? Was there things that you did within the roles that you've had where you thought, right, nobody's asking me to do this, but I feel that if I do it, it's going to bring me on?
I would say, I'm natured to be. I don't let a lot of things go.
Right.
And by that is, if nobody takes ownership, and it can be a flaw of mine as well, if I'm honest, Mark. If nobody takes ownership,
that's good that you recognise that. Yeah.
I'll take ownership of it. You know. So at the best of time, I've got anything up to 25, 30 plates spinning behind me.
Yeah.
But I have no sense of direction, but I can tell you what I did on a project 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult question because you kind of think across all the places where you've worked.
Yeah.
And somebody might tell me after, oh yeah, you did this and that. But I think really it's around taking the ownership to use initiative.
Yeah.
Right. Now there can be things where you shouldn't do.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, if you start something and you get it to 50% and you shouldn't be doing it, somebody will take it off you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just sat there in a pile of things to do.
Yeah.
So if you're, they've got a famous saying at one company, which is move fast and break things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say move fast, not too fast.
Yeah.
And try and break some things along the way.
Whether
or not that's the ceiling that you've put in, as I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'd never be one to turn down an opportunity and then go, oh, how would I have done it? It will, right, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then I'll figure out how I'm going to do it after. Right. Yeah. And then to date, there's nothing I've taken on which I wasn't able to do. Yeah. Because I've made sure that I have to, because I've made a commitment to it, right? Yeah. And my word is my bond, really. Because letting somebody down, especially when you've got a lot of mentors up the way as well. Yeah. It's you've got to make sure that you can keep steady in your approach and people trust what you're saying and what you're doing.
So you said something very important there, trust. I think trust is one of the key elements to any role, but specifically a role that involves a lot of people like facilities management. Yeah. I think trust is a key element of anything we do. I really do. I believe that more than anything,
I agree.
Okay, so sort of going back to what we were discussing earlier about taking, additional responsibilities to broaden your skill set and things like that.
Yeah.
How have you gone above and beyond in your career to stand out, and how has that helped your career?
Ooh. Thought we weren't going to do the difficult questions.
I've got to throw one in there, Josh.
Yeah, I guess you have. I guess,
Because somebody did tell me actually that one of the things that you were really, really, really great at, especially as you were coming through your career, is that when you were asked to do a role or a job or a function as part of a project, that you would go and complete that, but you would also complete something else while you were there.
Oh, yeah.
Without being asked. And that was one of the reasons that you stood out.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe we go back to the initiative comment.
Yeah.
It's to go off track, my partner hates it when we go to hotels. Right? If we go away somewhere, abroad or anywhere, because literally 100% of the time, I am looking at everything, right? And we go back to the pound again, right?
Yeah. The pound is back.
He would come and do the audit of your building, right? And, I might be a little bit better at the pound for site audits now.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't tell him about that. But, it's... he would see everything.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
And you'd get there and you'd be like, Tom, there is no chance you are finding anything.
Yeah.
Right? And you'd go bang, 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 bang. Right? And you'd be like... I've been up for 18 hours.
Sort this out.
I made him scrub the floor this morning.
Yeah.
But so we go out, magic starts out, gas suppression's out. Oh yeah, door's a bit out.
Yeah.
And all that. So I guess I'd love to be able to say that I could turn off, right? But it's not. So and the way it is I'm always on the move, right? Yeah. It will always be, and I'm more talking hypothetical, right? I'll always be thinking about either what I'm going to say next, say in a podcast, or what I'm going to do next, right? And I think maybe one of the qualities I inherited was people seem to have some sort of confidence in that I know what I'm doing, which is great.
Yeah. Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
I think so. And also trust my sense of direction as well. Some people blindly trust me for whatever reason. But getting back to the point is I will develop, almost in my head a master plan of what it is that what we're looking to achieve, right? Things we're going to do along the way, right? And then at the end we'll come back and we'll do a lessons learned, right?
Yeah.
But the lessons learned never goes to anyone else; it always comes to me. Right, because I am the owner of such tasks, whatever it should be. Right. Okay. So I would say it's almost a difficult question because it is my nature to do so.
Yeah.
And I will just always, if I see something, if I see something that doesn't look right, we got to a point at Amazon, right, when I was there, that I'd do the site audit and I wouldn't have to say anything.
Yeah. Right,
because it was just look, and people would know the expectation that I had. The expectation that we would hold together as one team, right? So it's not me just going bang, 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 you must do this, you must do this. But more importantly, I'd always give a reason why, right? And if you just, stand at the top of the hill and scream what you should be doing, people are going to look up at you and go, what is he going on about?
Yeah.
But then if you come back down maybe a couple of steps and you say, we must do this and this and this because of this, people will go, oh, you know what? I didn't know you eaten this much salt in your life or throughout your career or how many coals you've been dragged across. I think naturally it's been not pounded into me. But, always be a couple of steps ahead. And in that, I've always taken, things that are in my vision as like in a factory environment is something that I need to do. I can't remember what I ate for dinner last night, but I can remember most of my FRA risk assessments across 35 buildings.
Really?
So,
Right. Okay. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, brilliant. So look, what's next for you? Where do you see the next steps in your career? Looking to move into some kind of director role in the future. Where do you see yourself going?
Yeah. So I think. Mapletree treat me very well. Mapletree's a great business to work for. We've got good, a good amount of stock as well. So, there's always capital improvement that we're doing, to keep up with the times. Essentially, I always get a little bit stuck on this question because I love technical things. I love engineering. You know, most of my friends are engineers. You know, most of the people I come up with are from an ops engineering direct.
Yeah.
From that level. I also really enjoy ops as well, right? So I think if an engineering operations director would probably be the next step. Yeah. So rather than this whole like associate and all that kind of thing, and essentially because I take ownership, like we just went into.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I want to be accountable, but I only want to be accountable for the things I do.
Yeah. Right? Fair enough.
Which is sometimes very difficult.
Yeah.
But I will be accountable for those underneath me because they're under my control, right?
Yeah.
But I'd say the next couple of steps is, you know, it's people say I've had a couple of times on my way up through facility. You need to stay here. You know, for 5 to 8 years. Work your way through, and maybe I might be in a place where I wanted to be if I decided to do that.
Yeah.
But you know, I've kind of jumped very far into the deep end. Into a very new environment for me at the time. And had no option but to make it work. Right? Because my mum would kill me. Dad probably wouldn't let it go. You know. So it's and you know there's. I guess you've got to defy expectations at times. But then also kind of get your 5-year plan as well.
Okay.
I do have a 5-year plan for where I'd like to be. But I won't settle for that just yet. So I've shortened it down to like a 2-3.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
5 years too long.
Yeah.
5 years. I'm 32. 32 is a lot older than 27.
I'm not going to tell you how old I'm going to be in 5 years' time, but it's a lot older than 32. To be fair.
So, I'd like to, but more importantly, I want to be part of a business that A, trusts my judgment.
Yes.
B, gives me the money to do it. You know? And I'm not talking about salary or anything like that, you know. People at work, like going back to the FM comment, you know, how much space you've got. Also, if you've got a client who's got money, right? And not by got money, they've got loads of stuff, but A, they're willing to spend money on the asset. Your job's going to be a lot easier.
Oh, of course,
If they don't, or they don't want to spend it for whatever reason, maybe they're on an asset recycle strategy, or, you know, there's many, you know, going back to the 40-60% I said earlier between client, you know, it's easier with money. Right? Most things are.
Yeah, of course,
some kind of director position, but, you know, hopefully, you know, if I was to be so bold, I've kind of got a wealth of experience and knowledge to kind of decide what I want to do. And more importantly, what type of directorship I'd like to say, whether it's a partner director or a non-exec director or, you know, because director title's thrown around a lot now.
I mean, there's a lot of directors that aren't really what you would call a director. You know,
and then you've got some real big key players, you know, that actually hold the business together.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
Like you've got your Knight Franks, your CBREs, you know, and all that kind of stuff, you know. There's an apportion of individuals that keep that glue. Right? And I want to be the glue.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a really great thing to want to be, to be fair. Okay. And what about yourself? You know, outside of work, you know, what do you like getting up to?
So I play golf badly.
Right.
Networking. You know, come back to the networking question.
So what do you do in terms of networking?
Pub.
Yeah.
You know what, right? It's networking's a hard thing because, you know, it's one of those things that you've kind of got to do. You have to do it to progress your career.
Yes,
right?
You do. Yeah.
If you think that you're going to sit in, I don't know, even in central London, you don't know anyone. It's going to be difficult, right? And even if you do come about, right, and it's a small game. So people that we don't know, right, we kind of treated a little bit of imposters. Who's this guy?
Who is
right?
it?
Never heard of him. I ring my mate up from the pub. You heard of him? Don't touch him. All right. You know, and you know, I probably could get in a little bit of trouble, but that's exactly what happened.
Well, that is how the world works. It is. You know,
in a secret.
It is. I'm sure there's a WhatsApp somewhere. You know what I mean? Don't talk to that person. You know.
They told me not to talk about that.
See, I knew people just hadn't let me.
But so the networking, pub's a great environment to it. I'm not encouraging, you know, alcoholism or anything like that. You know, you don't
have to drink alcohol in a pub.
No, you don't. No. better, but yeah. But yeah, more importantly, if you go out networking, and let's say you go do the Crystal Maze, which is just up the road, you do virtual reality, right? You're not learning anything about the person in front of you.
No.
Right?
It's about having that opportunity to talk.
Yeah. And there's nothing more to do in the pub apart from drink and talk.
Exactly. And that goes back as well to what we were discussing earlier when I talked to my kids about developing your personality, developing your people skills, developing your ability to chat to people and to get to know them and ask questions and things like that.
Small talk.
The small talk.
Some people are awful at small talk.
No, I agree. There are a few,
And it's, the confidence in being able to say what you're saying for a start and for people to believe what you're saying. Right?
Yeah.
Because, and that's not me saying that everyone in facilities management just goes around, lies through the skin of their teeth. I've met some very clever people, right, with multiple degrees, even some PhDs, right?
Yeah.
They've got no confidence in what they're saying. So immediately people go,
Well, yeah, you naturally pick up on that.
Yeah, you naturally pick up on it. And it almost brings down almost a smoke screen or maybe a cloud of doubt, let's call it, right?
Yeah, that's
I'm going to speak to my guy for what he's just said. I'll regurgitate that to my bloke.
Yeah.
And he'll tell me if he's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas you can completely cancel that out if you just say, right, I know what I'm doing, right? And hopefully I know what I'm doing. And I'm going to say it like I do know what I'm doing. Confidently.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It goes back to what you said earlier about delivering things confidently.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, you'll find out the answer, but then you'll deliver that confidently.
Yeah, like one of the key aspects of, I would say, in facilities management, right, is, there's delivering service and there's service delivery, right? And facilities management is being able to bridge the gap between delivering service and service delivery. Yeah. Right? Because delivered service is the things that you don't think of, which you never have thought of, and the wizardry behind things that you never knew existed. Yeah, delivering service is me asking, can I have this now?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that would be the key thing. But yeah, I also play golf badly.
Yeah. Football? Do you follow football?
I do. I am an Arsenal fan.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're like the third gooner in a row, I think.
Yeah, well, it's London's red. Saka is just out of this world. Jesus.
Not getting excited. You weren't very good for a long time.
Yeah, but I put up with it for a long time. Right now we're actually okay, so I can shout about it.
Let's talk when you win a trophy, yeah?
They're on tonight, I think. Actually, I'm
a Man United fan, so I've got it even worse at the minute, mate. So
I wouldn't tell people about that.
Mate, I'm proud of it. I don't care if we never win anything again. I lived through the '90s, mate. I had the best time in the world.
Yeah, Beckham and that.
Yeah, I had the glory days.
He's a boy, wasn't he?
He was a boy. God, he was a baller.
Brilliant man.
Really good man. Really good man.
And went Arsenal, but
yeah. Well, what can I say? He went for the.
We had Henri.
He went to the biggest club in the world, mate. What can I say? Even still with the biggest club in the world, and we're massively underperforming. So, we're absolutely terrible, but we're still the biggest club in the world. It's just one of those things, and that's not our fault. It's the ownership model. The
ownership.
Yeah. It's got nothing to do with the players.
I wonder who runs their stadium. You're getting a bit dirty.
It would be quite an interesting thing to find out, wouldn't it? Yeah. To be fair. Anyway, we better not talk about that. There'll be Chelsea fans out there that are going, hang on. Well, what about us?
Who are they?
Fair enough. Okay, well, listen, that's the end of the podcast. How did you find it?
Yeah, all right.
Did you enjoy it?
I feel like I rambled for a bit, but then I'm here to speak, aren't I?
No, I thought you did a fantastic job. I think people will find the podcast really, really helpful.
Cool.
So thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Wear many hats, listeners. This may well be the last time you ever hear my voice because, as you know, Josh is taking my job. My boss is sat here, so we'll just have to look and see whether or not his performance stacked up any better than mine. So if this is my last one, I apologise, and I will see you later. But thank you for another episode, and we'll see you next time. Take care.